Hi, if you're watching this replay of the live broadcast, welcome. I'm thrilled that you're here. This is the Daily Mentor Show where I provide the insight, the inspiration, and the tools you need to stop drifting and create the life you want. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, let me just remind that you can tap on the screen, show the love, and give me some hearts, which I love. So it's awesome to see some of you guys. Somebody from New Jersey, where are you guys from? Barry, good to see you. Boy, they're going by so fast, it's hard to see. Hello from Alabama. Woo! Nashville, San Diego, Chicago, Charlotte. I'm sorry, it's too fast to see your names. Denmark, San Francisco, North Carolina. Sharon, PA. From Washington, Atlanta, Seattle. It is morning in Seattle, isn't it? Marissa, my daughter, is on. I see that. Hey, Riss. Santa Barbara, California. From Dallas, Colorado Springs. Helena, Montana, Louisiana. Awesome. Great to see you guys. In case you don't know me, I'm Michael Hyatt, author of the New York Times bestseller platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World. I'm also the former chairman and CEO of Thomas Nelson Publishers, now part of the HarperCollins family of publishers. My blog is michaelhyatt.com, where I get about 1 million page views a month. My podcast, This Is Your Life, has been downloaded about 10 million times. You can find me in the iTunes directory. Just search for my name, Michael Hyatt. My wife, Gail, and I have been married for 37 years. We have 5 grown daughters, 4 sons-in-law, and 8 grandkids. And I'm really a virtual mentor. You know, my goal really is to help high achievers, people just like you, really win at work and succeed at life so that you can reach your potential and maximize your impact on your world. And to do that, I provide the inspiration, as I said earlier, the insight and the tools you need to stop drifting and design the life you want. And today, we're going to be talking about what I hate about Periscope. Now, if there's some things that you hate about Periscope, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I mostly like it, by the way. I'm not a hater. Last Friday, I blogged on what I love about Periscope, but it's not without its faults. Agreed? Right. Okay, so Morning Talk said, you're my inspiration. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Feed is too fast. I know. Somebody said foul language. I'm sorry I missed that. It's hard to keep up with all this and actually comment as well. Madeline Lemon says, yes, videos are disappearing. No, the videos actually won't disappear. Let me just tell you this. I'm actually saving all the videos, and you can find them at michaelhyatt.com. And actually, I have it up here, /scopes. All my videos are there. So how many of you struggle with Periscope? You love it, basically, otherwise you wouldn't be here, but there's some things you don't like about it. Come on, be honest. Yep, somebody said it's just in its infancy. Be patient. I'm not completely a hater either, but wow, things are rough. My blog post this morning was dead on, and by the way, you can find that blog post at michaelhyatt.com, Scope Hate. And there's a link to my one on Scope Love, which I blogged about on Friday. So let me just give you a couple ground rules as we get started. This is going to be a 30-minute scope. I'm going to finish promptly at the top of the hour. The first half of this scope is going to be about what I'm frustrated with Periscope and what I think the developers need to do to fix it. And I hope it's not too hard to fix it. But a few ground rules here is I'm going to, at the end of it, I'll take questions. But if you've got a question, here's what I want you to do. In the comment box, put 2 question marks, your name in all caps. That would be hugely helpful. And then your question. Then I'll do a shout out to you and I'll answer your questions. Please give me the hearts. I love the hearts. That's like virtual applause. All you have to do is tap on your screen just like you're doing now. Love to see those hearts. Awesome. And please share this with your friend, especially right now, right this minute, before I get into the content. Just swipe left to right on an iPhone, or I think it's top to bottom. Maybe it's bottom to top on an Android, but hit the share icon and share this with your Twitter followers. That would be hugely helpful to me. The hashtag is #DailyMentor, and if you would use that also in the Twitter feed, that would be fantastic as well. Okay, let's talk about what I hate and what you hate about Periscope. What do you think is the #1 thing that I think has got to get fixed or added by the Periscope developers to make this a viable video platform? Okay, Pamela says, view before the broadcast. Somebody saying, talking about the connection, portrait view, landscape mode, landscape, comments, connection. Guess what? It's landscape view. I mean, really? We've got a portrait view and that's what we're stuck with? I don't get that at all. You know, I don't think the quality is really a problem. Somebody said they thought the video quality. I don't think the video quality is such a problem, but I do think that this landscape thing absolutely needs to get fixed. Now, the good news is I've heard that developers are working on it and they're close to releasing a version of this that will be able to do landscape. So Madeline says it's easier to use your phone with portrait, more natural. Okay, so you're going to be an apologist for the portrait view. Okay, I get that. But I mean, how hard is it to hold your phone, you know, to the side like you view every other video? If you're watching YouTube, you do it that way. So yeah, somebody says need landscape and put the comments on the side. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Landscape will lose most of the view under comments, but not if we fix comments. More about that in just a minute. Okay, so landscape mode is the #1 thing that I think the developers need to fix if they're going to make this a viable platform. And don't forget, Facebook Live is already live for people that have a verified account. I haven't used it yet, though I could because I have a verified account. There's going to be other entries because this is the hottest thing in the market right now. Over 10 million Periscope users. Best thing to happen to Twitter in a very, very long time. #2, what do you think is my #2 gripe? The thing that needs to get fixed with Periscope. Connection loss. Text commenting archive for the host. Yeah, that'd be cool. Search. Finding what you need quickly is the big problem. That is a problem. Commenting. Yep. Okay, my second one is actually this. And this is kind of from the broadcaster's perspective, so not so much from the user's perspective, but it's the default camera view. And here's what I mean by that. When I start the broadcast, it doesn't have the camera that's facing me. It has the other camera, the rear view camera. So in this case, you get to see a piece of my ring light. Sometimes you see somebody's room, whatever, and you have to double tap real quickly to turn the camera around. And it's just a little annoyance. I don't know why they set it up that way, but that's #2. Yes, and Tina says, catch.me will save all comments on your Periscope. Yes. And I'm going to explain in another broadcast I'm going to do in a bit regarding my scope gear, how I actually save the comments and the hearts. Somebody says, I think you should be able to comment even if the broadcast is full. Ain't it the truth? I mean, that's so frustrating. It takes about the first 200 people. I'll tell you a little trick though. If you X out of the broadcast and come back in, sometimes people are dropping off and making room for other people. So sometimes you have to do that several times, but usually you can get into the queue if you do that. Trouble with trolls, Cindy says. Yeah, I wish there was a producer view where I could have somebody helping me who is managing the trolls. And by the way, if you're a troll and you're using foul language or you're being hateful, get a life. I'm going to ignore you. I'm not going to say a word about you. You're going to get no love here. So if you agree with that strategy regarding trolls, give me some hearts. Okay. #3, my third complaint, third thing, lots of hearts coming up here. Oh, there's a good one that I'm going to delete. Let's just block that user. Good. Third one, I think, is an on-screen timer. There is a timer on my iPhone, and there is or the clock's on my iPhone, the clock's on my iPad, because that's actually what I'm using, but it's hard to see. I mean, the type is really small, and I think it would be really cool to have the timer up there so I could be respectful of your time, because I announced this or advertised this as a half-hour mentoring session, and I don't want to go past that. I know you've got a life, you've got other things to do, so a timer would be awesome for me. #4, anybody have an idea what #4 might be? And yes, you can cheat by looking at the blog post. Some people are saying they want to see the search function improved. Somebody's thanking me for doing these scopes. You're welcome. T.R. Goodwin said, I like that I got a notification as soon as you started. I like that too. That's a very cool feature. Yeah, 700 viewers today and growing. I'm so grateful. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Okay, #4 for me is more readable fonts. Can you tell that I'm struggling a little bit here? And here's why. When your comments come up, I mean, you can look at the comments in front of you right now. is, and Madeline said it, wish the names were in black text. Yeah, they're in this gray text, which I'm sure the designers thought was really cool. Only problem is it's unreadable. And I want to be able to call you by name, and that's tough the way that it's set up now, which is why I say when you ask a question, I learned this from Shalene Johnson, at Shalene Johnson, you must subscribe to her scope. But precede your comment with 2 question marks, then your name in all caps, and then give me the question. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, I would love to see an iPad version. Now, honestly, I'm using the iPad right now because it's easier for me to read, but I really, really, really wish there was an iPad version because I think there's more screen real estate, and I don't think, Tina, you can use your desktop. So, yeah, I don't think you can. I wish that were the case because then we could have landscape and I could have some more features, but the iPad gives them more real estate so they can have some of the things I'm suggesting on the screen as well. Okay, so that's number 6, or excuse me, number 5. Number 6 is a preview mode. Now, I've got this screen up here, as you can see. I like to get that in there. I like to get myself over here on one side of the screen, but there's no way to preview that. You know, I can use the camera on my iPad and turn it on video and kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like, but I don't really know until I go live. So there needs to be a preview way so that I can make sure that everything's lined up so the light's right and all that. Number 7, and by the way, I'm looking over here. I've got an iPad mini with some notes on it. My number 7th thing that needs fixed is an audio meter. I can't really tell how loud my audio is. And by the way, I'm sitting here looking at my Smart Lab microphone still hanging from my iPad because I forgot to put it on. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Yeah, Amy said the audio is good right now. Great. It's even better when I have the Smart Lav on. But at any rate, I wish there was an audio meter because sometimes I've found after the broadcast that I was too loud or too soft and there's no way to engineer that on the fly, so to speak. Okay, here's a big one, number 8. Comment control. Oh my gosh. I mean, you guys see how these comments are flying by so fast. And it's just hard to keep up. And it's hard to scroll back down, or if I want to just stop the screen and be able to look at somebody's comment and give it attention, really hard. Comment control has got to be fixed. In fact, if I had 2, I probably should have put them in this order. First, landscape mode. Second, comment control. If you agree, give me some hearts. Tap, 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 tap. Give me a bazillion of them. Yes, love it. I totally agree. Number 9, and we're about to go to questions. Number 9 is a stop button. Okay, you're going to see this when I end this broadcast, but I have to swipe down, which usually grabs the notifications widget on the iPad or the iPhone, and it always takes me a couple tries to be able to swipe down to get the stop broadcast button on Periscope. Why can't they just put a button that's on the screen? I mean, is that really that hard? A lot of you are saying, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's take questions. I would love questions or what you guys think is still an issue that I haven't mentioned. In fact, let's do that. Tell me what I've missed. What do you not like about Scope that I've absolutely missed? I'll read as many of these as I possibly can. Clay, how could I get more followers? Well, make sure you're broadcasting regularly, for sure. Use your social media accounts. I also, if you go to my blog at michaelhyatt.com, you'll see that I've got Scope widgets and stuff just to kind of make sure that people know that I'm broadcasting. And I let people know that I'm going to be broadcasting at a certain time so that they don't have to be on Twitter at the moment I broadcast, but they can plan for it. Yeah, somebody says, yeah, but what if you accidentally hit it when you're moving? Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. What else? On video review, allow for fast forward and rewind. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that one. That was number 10. You know that when you're watching a replay, if you start it and have to stop, there's no way to rewind it. There's no way to advance. You're just stuck. Somebody says, I use Catch. Just wish I could fast forward an app. Absolutely. Jonathan. Oh, I missed it, Jonathan. Sorry, it went by too fast. Time on replays to know if I've got time to watch it. I thought that was there. On the user side, replays don't give you the ability to sync the length of the video. Okay, maybe that's right. Aaron says, I don't necessarily like the fact that you have to use Twitter hashtags to find scopes. Well, I get that, But let's be realistic. Twitter owns Periscope, and they're going to do everything they can to promote their platform. Somebody says, poor focus and low light exposure, iPad does better outside. Yeah, I know. The actual camera image is much better with an iPhone, but this is much easier for me to read the text, so it's kind of a trade-off. I wish I could see all the viewers. Heather, any tips for making my first scope look clean and professional since I can't preview? Heather, just let it be ugly. A friend of mine, Joy Grobelby, used to say, don't worry, be crappy. I think that's exactly right. You know, you got to be willing to kind of fall on your face the first couple of times. I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know you're supposed to acknowledge the comments or anything. I didn't do any of that. So once you get past the first couple of them, it'll be fine. Kyle, would love a follower on Scope to be able to be a follower on Twitter. Okay, fair enough. Tina, how does this compare to a webinar? You know, I think with a webinar, first of all, you got slides, so you can illustrate better. I suppose I could put the slides back up here, but they're not full screen. I think a webinar is going to be a little more professionally produced. It's not going to be quite as immediate or in the moment. And I think that both have their place. I don't plan to stop doing webinars. I mean, webinars are my bread and butter. They're one of the most important things that I do. Somebody Greeking me said, hey, from Greece. Hey, I've been to Greece. Spent 3 weeks there back in the 90s. Marissa, he should make a hashtag of that. I'm assuming you mean the don't worry, be crappy. Sujal says, can you tag people in your scope title? I don't know. I've never tried it. I'll bet you could. All right, Michelle says, who do you recommend to follow? Okay, here's some of the people that I'm following right now. Number one, Chalene Johnson. Chalene has got so much class, so much personality, so much practical advice, and I just love Brett, her husband, and Chalene. And Brett's also got a show called The Hangry Chef, and that's definitely worth watching. I'm watching Eric J. Fisher, I think is his Twitter handle. Also Andy Traub, Traub, and by the way, Chalene, yeah, as in Beachbody Chalene, exactly, Chalene, and her hashtag is Chalene Johnson, or not her hashtag, but her Twitter ID. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so those are just a few that I'm watching right now. John Acuff is another favorite one of mine too. Jeff Goins' first two scopes were great. I watched Jeff's first one when he did his office, but I haven't watched one since, but he's a really good friend of mine. Jeremy Cowart is another one. C-O-W-A-R-T, Jeremy Cowart. Daryl, how much do you prep for scope? Wow, great question. So I prepare about 10 minutes. And let me tell you what I do. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, this is kind of the strategy I use. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to be talking about the blog post that I posted that morning or the podcast that I released that morning. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to just be kind of whatever I want to talk about. Sometimes the popular posts that we're re-promoting. I will tell you this, tomorrow, I'm leaving this afternoon for a strategic planning retreat with my team. So I'm going to be broadcasting tomorrow, and I'm going to introduce you to my team one at a time. And I think it's going to be awesome. Somebody said I need a wide angle lens. Absolutely have one coming. I've got wide angle lenses for my iPhone, but not for my iPad. But I just ordered one today, and it's supposed to be here tomorrow. So somebody said, Madeline said, if you scope, put your ID in here so she can follow you. Crafty Mom Katie says, thank you for the info. Any other questions? By the way, I'm in love with this platform. I think it's fantastic. It's a great way for leaders to influence other people. Tom says, what strategic planning process do you use? Well, I use one that I've created. I've used it for more than a decade, and I might share that with you guys if you're interested in it. I may share some of the tools that we use. We've got a whole bunch of cool tools that we're going to take the team through. So Ron says, can you use a few scopes to help other creative people launch? I'm assuming you're saying, can I use my scopes to do a shout out to other people? Yeah, but here's the issue. I got to know it's got to add value. I'm not just going to recommend something. I get asked this on Twitter all the time. Will I retweet this? Will I retweet that? And this is from people, and forgive me for saying this, who are either They haven't added any value to me. They haven't convinced me that they have anything to offer. They're just asking for a retweet. So I got to see some value. Tagging lowers viewer drops on your list. Okay, not sure what that means, but I'll take your word for it. What sort of scopes do you like watching, not just people? You know, I like scopes where I learn something. Here's the kind of scopes that I hate. And I watched one yesterday, drove me crazy. In fact, I can't believe I stayed on as long as I did. But it was one of these scopes where the broadcaster's just rambling. I guess he thinks I should be so fascinated with his personality or celebrity that he can get on without any thought about me, the viewer, and just ramble about his life. And he just went on and on about himself and really wasn't any value to me forever. So Jal says, what's worked better for you, scope or podcasts? I think they're totally different strategically. You know, the podcasts have been hugely, hugely helpful for me, but that's more prepared, much higher production values. This, you know, is just kind of on the fly, me kind of raw and unfiltered. So somebody said, was he interacting, the scoper that I mentioned earlier, was he interacting with his tribe? Kind of, but I just couldn't find any value in it whatsoever. Podcasts are content marketing and Periscope is social media. Yeah, in a sense, this is a little bit like marketing. You know, I'm kind of like those guys at the mall, you know, when you go to the food court and they're standing out in front of the restaurant and they're offering you free samples. In a sense, that's what this is, because I'm hoping that if you find value here, that you'll start subscribing to my blog, that you'll subscribe to my podcast, that you buy my products. I mean, I'm not just doing this for my health. You know, I want to help people at a deeper level, and I can certainly do a little bit here on a scope, but I can't do everything that I can do in those other kinds of formats and venues. Somebody said, I don't see Periscope as social media. Yeah, could be arguable. Will you continue to scope? That's from Sherry Miller. You know, if my enthusiasm is like it is today in about 3 weeks, because this is kind of a 30-day test, yes. Shannon says, joined late. Are you going to cover how you record the replay? No, not on this scope, but stay for a few minutes more and I'm going to tell you what I'm about to do. I think you're going to be really excited about it. If somebody wants to scope about himself, he should, as long as I'm not forced to watch. Well, absolutely. You know, absolutely. I mean, people can do whatever they want. They can scope pictures of their cat. I don't care, but I'm not going to watch it. Thanks for helping us on this great content. Jonathan, I love that we have immediate live access to you. That's the power of the medium. That's what I love too. Christy, what's your advice on getting an agent versus self-publishing? Well, I've done both. And my history has been in the traditional publishing world. And I'm not saying this because of that, but I will say that self-publishing was a surprising amount of work that I didn't anticipate. And my next book, Living Forward, is going to be published by a traditional publisher. My view is that if you can possibly go with a traditional publishing house, you should. And if you have some other strategic reason for why it doesn't matter, then I would self-publish. Somebody said, who's this? Roxy Fit, the power of Periscope. A Preacher's Kid, have you noticed names you follow dropping and having to be re-added? No, I haven't seen that. I did have a funny thing happen yesterday, though. I was sitting here working in my office on some notes, and all of a sudden, I hear Cliff Ravenscraft say, well, hello, Michael Hyatt. And I went, what? So I came over to my iPad, and somehow I had automatically joined his podcast. I didn't even know he was, or not his podcast, but his scope. I didn't even know he was scoping. Somehow I auto-joined and he saw me come in and said my name. It was weird. Okay, Maya says, do you have regulars, people that follow and support you everywhere? Absolutely. You know, I do have people that, you know, drink the Kool-Aid. Maya said I auto-joined yours. So like, is that a setting inside a scope? Maybe it is. Somebody said some of the best scopes are people just hanging out with their followers. You know what? I agree with that. You know, just to talk and take questions. Lewis Howes, by the way, another guy I follow on Periscope that I love. LEWISHOWES. Lewis Howes. And he's amazing. But he was at the house the other night. He stayed with us for a night. And so we had a kind of a party with some of my friends here in Nashville. And so he just did this live impromptu scope, and we did truth or dare with all of us in the room. That was a blast. And I hate this freeze moment in Periscope. I assume you're talking about when the screen freezes. Usually, maybe not always, but usually that's a bandwidth problem on your end. Clay, any certain outline to best present message to go by? Well, you want to have mine real quick? Here's what I give you. Okay, so this is like a template for a scope. You might want to write this down. Introduction, boom. Biography, who I am, because not everybody gets on and knows me. My value proposition, what am I here to do, and what do I have to offer, and what do I hope you get out of it? Then the show theme, like today I'm talking about why I hate Periscope. I tell people how long it's going to be and kind of the format that we're going to take. I'm going to cover the content in the first half, then I'm going to take questions for the second half. Then I do ground rules, then the main topic, Q&A session, and a close. So we're about at the end. Maya says, I love that as big as you are, you still introduce yourself. I got to tell you a funny story. When I was about 27 years old, I was new in the publishing world. I worked for a company that was the publisher of Billy Graham. You all know who Billy Graham is. So I got sent to meet with him in Alaska. He was doing a big conference in Alaska. I got sent up there to meet with him. I'd never met him before in my life. And I was scared. I mean, he's a big, famous guy, right? So I walk into the green room. He was the only one there. It was just the two of us. I walked into it. I walked up, and he stuck out his hand, and he said, hi, I'm Billy Graham. What's your name? I thought, really? He thinks he has to introduce himself to me? That made such an amazing impression upon me. Yeah, Crafty Mom Katie says an adult verified section. Yeah, that's probably going to be good. I hope they're policing this. I mean, I'm not a prude, but I just don't think that stuff belongs on social media. It's got to be, kid friendly. Raising Clover says, love him. All right, we're about at the end of our time. What do you think of the live stream from YouTube? I don't know. I haven't tried it. I know that you can do that, but I don't know about the comments and how all that works. So sorry. Sarah Brown said, just sent you a tweet. You're truly rocking your knowledge, and I love your Billy Graham story. Thanks. Day with Daddy. Can you recommend an adapter to connect a phone to a tripod? Yes. So let me tell you what's going to happen. Immediately when I finish this scope in about 2 minutes, I'm going to start another scope. But this one is going to be with my iPhone, because I promised you guys on Friday that I was going to give you a behind the scenes tour of the gear that I'm using. If you would like that, not only give me a couple of hearts, but say yes in the comments. Otherwise, I got plenty of stuff to do today. I don't have to do that. But if you'd like to see the gear and get a little geeky with me, give me a yes. Oh yeah. Okay, good. Lots and lots and lots. All righty? Good. And I've actually got a web page, kind of a handout, if you will, where I'll give you a list of all the equipment with links to the manufacturers. And I'm going to do that in my next scope in just a few minutes. Yeah, here, Pyric Star says, I love tech. Yeah, I love tech too. Roxy Fit says, buy a selfie stick and take the top off and screw it on the tripod. Now that's innovative. I didn't think about that. I have a selfie stick. I could have done that. Day with Daddy says, thank you so much. No one sells in store. Amazing. Okay. Real World School. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Ron, for saying that. Micah says, I use the @Glyph iPhone tripod mount. I have one of those as well, and that is great for the iPhone. Marina comes in from Brazil. Good to see you. All right, guys, that's it for the Daily Mentor today. So that was the advertised session. That's your mentoring session for today. I want to remind you guys, the rest of today, whether it's an hour or the entire day, is still a blank slate. It's a blank canvas. You can create on it whatever you want. This is the one and only day that you know for sure that you have. Don't lose it. Make it count. And in just a second, I'm going to reset here for a second, and I'll go through my gear list for periscoping. Love you guys. See you soon.